Hello everybody and welcome to the Afterlife Card Club. It's RareTotem here, and today I will be casting a best of 3 match played by me and a good friend of mine. In the last episode we played the print and play demo decks straight from the Cyberpunk TCG website. In today's video we'll be playing with 40 card decks of our own creation. Before we get into these games, let's take a quick look into both decks and talk about each deck's goals and the tools that they have in place to achieve those goals. Starting first with my opponent. Today, Snail is running a Royce Gearbox deck. His 3 legends are River Ward, Dum Dum, and Royce. This deck is centered around gear cards used to pump up his units, particularly his Royce legend or Jackie, to make big swings and steal multiple gigs with each attack. This deck runs Sketchy Ripper and Victor Vector to help get gear cards into play either from his deck or the trash pile with their abilities. It also makes use of Swordwise Hustle and Hextech Faceplate's card draw effects to keep his hand full of resources. Dum Dum's ability can be used to make chromed out units even stronger, and River can allow him to play gear cards from his hand to quickly turn the tide of a fight in his favor. There are several cards with control elements to force the rival to discard cards or spend units that would open them up to be defeated in combat, and a few cards that are used to outright defeat the rival units. This deck focuses on the endgame by pumping up Jackie or Royce with several gear cards to steal many gigs in one attack. Today I will be playing a Turbo Placide Ganger deck. My 3 legends are Evelyn Parker, Carrie Uridine, and River Ward. This deck's primary goal is centered around ramping resources early in order to get Placide into play as quickly as possible. An early Placide provides a huge momentum swing as he will begin removing rival units from the game when he is played and with each attack he makes, while having enough power innately to steal 2 gigs a turn. This deck also utilizes several Ganger and Corpo units to make use of Evelyn Parker's Legend ability, which will allow me to ready Eddies every time they steal a gig, giving me more resources to use during my turn to set up plays during my rival's turn with my quick programs, which can disrupt his plans. Carrie is here because I wanted to try the gambling aspect of his ability to see if it will lead to any additional card draw. It can also help with gig fixing, though this deck doesn't really care about that so long as I have an even and odd value gigs for my Bootleg Black Sapphire Show ramp card. There are also several units that will help to stall my rival's lead in the early game when I'm having to leave myself open to get Placide in play as quickly as possible. I have access to a good number of blockers that will slow my rival down, as well as Chrome Reverie, which can freeze his units in place. I can also use the amazing Reboot Optics card to prevent a blocker or key attacker unit I control from being defeated in combat, and even combo that with the hexing power of Cyberpsychosis to defeat one of his units that may have many gear cards attached to them. This is a classic battle of brute force versus covert tactics in this matchup. Who's going to come out on top this week? Let's find out. Alright, and we are starting with the first game of the series, and I won the roll-off to go first. I've drawn my card, and I am selling a Chrome Reverie to start. And I go ahead and I roll my gig die. I forgot to do that before playing that card, but I roll my first gig die, and unfortunately going first, your options are very limited. I only have 2 Eddies to work with, so I'm going to spend 1 and call my first legend of the game, and I get River Ward called first. And then I pass the turn to my rival here. Now, I know he's playing a more aggressive strategy, and my early game is quite slow, so I have to watch out for what he does here. I'm worried of him playing some aggressive units early that's going to threaten to steal gigs, especially if he has more than 1 at a time, because then I'm not going to have enough of a wall to stop that. He plays Sketchy Ripper first after selling up Mantis Blades, and that's a perfect card for him to open with. It's a cheap unit, and it'll help him get gear cards into his hand. He calls a legend, and he gets Royce right off the rip, so already he's going to threaten that Royce play as soon as he hits 6 Eddies, so already, even though it seems pretty simple and straightforward, it's a dire situation for me potentially already. He's got a good gear engine on the board, and the legend that he wants to see first called. I go ahead and I sell a Reboot Optics here to give me 5 Eddies. which is the magic number I'll need to spend all 5 to play my first ramp card of the game, the Bootleg Black Sapphire Show. And thankfully I rolled an even and an odd gig, which will allow me to draw 2 cards with this card. It's really, really good to be able to get that to go off. Using this thing just to get the 1 extra cell a turn isn't really worth it, so you always want to try to get an even and odd gig value pair before using this card, otherwise you're wasting a lot of its potential. So thankfully I got to ramp there, get some extra cards, and I get to spend the 1 Eddie I just got to call my legend, and it's Carry Uridine. I pass the turn because I'm completely spent, and we'll see what he has in store for me here. I'm completely open to any attacks he has. Like I said, this deck leaves you open in the early game, so against an aggro deck like his, it is pretty rough to go against. And there it is. He puts a piece of gear onto his Sketchy Ripper, and now he is able to swing with it and steal a gig. On top of that, he's going to be able to draw the top 3 cards of his deck, take a gear card from them, and add it to his hand and bottom deck the rest. So already he's got a couple of things going for him. He gets a gig, and he gets a useful gear. He's going for the Hextech faceplate. So already here, we can see that things are looking kind of rough for me. Next turn, he'll be able to play that Royce if he so chooses. He'll also be able to... Okay, and there we are right there. Look, there's another cheap attacker, Swordwise Hustle. And there's the gig he stole from me with the Sketchy Ripper. So this is a very, very good start for him. He has Swordwise Hustle. He could throw that faceplate on Swordwise Hustle to get it up to that desired 5 power, and he'll have an amazing draw engine for him on top of Sketchy Ripper getting that gear for him. So he's looking set up for a very strong late game here, especially once he gets that Royce beefed up with some items. We'll see if I'm able to stall him out enough to buy time to get Placide out and deal with his threats. So the carry did not work out for me here. I'm selling a Cyber Psychosis. Kind of risky to do that against a gear heavy deck. You generally want to keep those because that'll be one of the best ways and only ways to deal with his beefed up units. I sell 3 here and I put a blocker on the field. My negotiators here, they are going to help stave his attacks off, if only for a moment. I'm spending 4 eddies here, and I'm going to play a second blocker, my Rita Wheeler, who's quite a beefy compared to the Augmented Negotiator. She has 4 power, so that Sketchy Ripper is not going to be able to attack over it unless he gets more gear added to him. So I have a small wall here. I'm able to stall out momentarily at least, so he's not going to be able to steal every gig I have and threaten a victory already. We'll see what he decides to do here, though. Like I said, he has a lot going on for him. He could put that faceplate on. It looks like he's going to go with the Karoshi Optics instead. Interesting choice, but it all makes sense now because Gilded Matone comes out. Gilded Matone is going to defeat his Karoshi Optics to get rid of my Augmented Negotiators. What a great play there. Remove one of my blocking units. That way I also don't get the ability to force him to do a discard by blocking. He does choose to pass here, which is interesting. He just doesn't want me to get the value of drawing a card by spending my Rita and also defeating one of his weaker units. So he decides to just hold back for a turn. I try again here to proc the Carry Uridine draw. It did not work out, unfortunately, but that's alright. Now, I did buy myself a turn there, thankfully. I'm going to go ahead and open up my turn by swinging with Rita. I want to do this because she will allow me to draw a card and discard one. I want to have all the options I could possibly have at the beginning of my turn, because who knows what I'm drawing into here. I want to just have all the information available to me. I'm going to go ahead and pitch a Psycho Squad. I'm looking for Placide, not just a standard vanilla unit at this moment. He doesn't have any blockers, so I get to steal a gig with Rita, which is nice. That kind of helps give me a little bit more of a cushion as well. I'm going to go ahead and sell a Black Sapphire Show, and that's going to put me at 5, 6, 7, 8. So now it looks like here comes Placide. Early game Placide, that's exactly what I want. And now that he's hit the board, I can pitch a program from my hand to bottom deck one of his units here. He has a couple of options, of course, but I think the Sketchy Ripper is going to be the right play to make because that is his value engine. He's going to be getting gear cards every time he swings with it. I don't want him to be able to just do that without having an answer to it, so it is going to the bottom of his deck. And now I have a big unit threatening to steal 2 gigs next turn. But I have to watch out. Time is of the essence here because with each turn that passes, that brings him closer to getting over the edge into play and wiping out that Placide. He also has that Royce in the backfield that he can pump up with some stuff and bring out for a huge attack in the late game here. We'll just have to see what he decides to do. He spends 3 to play Victor Vector, the unit card, so he can recur his cyberware from his trash pile and add it back to Swordwise Hustle. He's going to go ahead and spend his remaining 2 eddies this turn to attach Zetatech Faceplate to her as well, so now she has over 5 power. And like I mentioned previously, will be a good draw engine. When Swordwise Hustle attacks, that'll be 2 cards he'll get to draw this turn, and Swordwise Hustle will now have enough power to take out my Rita, which I believe is who he is targeting here. He takes his first draw, and then his second, he already adjusted one of his own gigs. And looks like he is, going after my Rita. He's using the Kuroshi Optics ability to look at one of his face-down legends, so now he knows what his both face-down legends are. Rita goes to my trash pile. And now he can attack me openly with Gilded Matone to steal a gig. I can't do anything about it. And that goes through. He steals his back from me. He did not sell anything this turn yet, so his resources are looking pretty scant compared to mine. And that's going to play a big advantage to me. I have to make sure to play a lot of cards during my turn and force him to run out of his resources here with Placide. Hopefully I have plenty of programs that can be sacrificed to pitch and bottom deck one of those units, specifically that Swordwise Hustle that has quite a bit of investment on it. I roll my gig dice, I get a reroll, and I do get the Carrier to pop off, so that's an extra card drawn this turn, which is great. It's good to see that there, paying off. So, yeah, I've got 8 eddies to play around with. I've only got the Placide, though. Could be a potential problem for me. Like I said, the closer we get to the end of the game, the closer over the edge comes into focus here. I'm going to spend 4 to play Hanako, and looks like I'm trying to dig for resources in my deck to try to feed Placide. And unfortunately, it's a rare case where I completely whiff with her ability. It's very tragic, very rare that happens, but it's not impossible. So unfortunately, that was a whiff, and will set me back in my momentum quite a bit, which is sad to see, honestly. But that's what happens sometimes. So I'll have to work on a secondary plan here. I'm going to spend 1 eddy and call my Evelyn Parker to the stage, my final legend and my favorite legend in the game currently. And here's the reason why. I'm going to show it off right here. I'm attacking with Placide. I do have a Cyber Psychosis that I'm pitching to get rid of his Swordwise Hustle. And then Placide is going to steal 2 of his gigs. And what's great about Evelyn Parker is that when I have a Ganger or Corpo unit stealing a gig, I get to ready one of my eddies, and Placide is a Ganger unit. So one of those spent eddies is now going to become unspent and able to be used for another play. So that just goes to show the amount of value that ability has. And I'm going to go ahead and spend that one again here, and I'm going to attach a Mandibular Upgrade to my Hanako. I lost the value of her ability by whiffing it, but I'm at least going to get a little bit out of her by making her a blocker to protect either my Placide or my gigs. I'm scared of having that Royce come out with a lot of gear here very soon. And of course, like I said, that over the edge is threatening next turn, which I'm not going to be able to do anything about. So I have to make some moves here pretty quick on my next turn. He's going to sell his Zetatech faceplate, so now he has 6. He's able to call Royce whenever he so chooses. And he spends 4 eddies. He's going to call T-Bug onto the field. He spends 2 more, and he's going to stack his board with a bunch of units with Sketchy Ripper. So now he's got 4 units on the board. Sketchy Ripper is going to be able to get him gear cards into his hand, which he can buff up that Royce with. The Ripper himself, so he can make attacks. He's got a lot of options here, a lot of small bodies that'll all be capable of stealing gigs from me. I only have the 1 blocker, and she's only got 1 power, so any of them are going to be able to defeat her in combat. So I'm just going to have to let these attacks go through. I really want to save her as a blocker, just in case he buffs up that Royce and threatens to kill Placide through combat. I'll at least have Hanako that can prevent that from happening, because I want Placide on the field for that bottom decking removal ability he has. Turn passes to me, and he has a large board and gig advantage. And we're going into the next turn here where he's going to be able to threaten over the edge on me, so I have to make some stuff happen on my turn here pretty quick. Kara Uridine unfortunately fails me this time, which of course with the D20 it's going to be harder to do. Does not work out for me, but that's alright. I'm going to go ahead. I'm spending 4 eddies here, and I'm going to beef up my side of the board with another blocker, and then it's going to be my second copy of Rita Wheeler. So I at least have a small wall building up here. Thankfully he has no blockers, so Placide is going to be able to do another direct attack on him. Or I could just simply try to take out some of his units. Placide does attack, and I do just go ahead and steal 2 of his gigs to threaten a game win. I get to ready one of those eddies that I just spent. And interestingly here, instead of keeping her unspent to make a block, I'm going to have Hanako attack him, stealing a gig. And here's a reason why. She is a corpo unit, which procs Evelyn's ability for me to ready an eddy, and now I have 6 eddies. I'm spending all 6 to play a Jackie. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about. Evelyn allows me to get some of those resources back to make a play I would have been able to otherwise. So that's why I think she's the best legend in the game currently, just the amount of value that she offers. So many units in the game are corpo or gangers, so she gets a lot of use. Here it is, the over the edge play. He rolled, I think it was a 15, something crazy like that for his D20. He takes out my Placide, which is what I was worried about, and that's why I played the Jackie as my last play that turn, so I at least have 1 big unit on the board. He wasn't going to be able to wipe out 2 of them. He spends 1 to call a legend, and it is Dum Dum. He's going to go ahead and get a card drawn from that. He does not have any gear, thankfully, so he doesn't get the added card drawn from that. But he has a lot of units on the board. I lost my Placide, unfortunately, and he's going to go ahead and start making his attacks. I do let Gilded Matone go through instead of blocking with Rita, because I want to wait to see if he tries to do anything with Sketchy Ripper to prevent him from getting any more gear cards. I mean, he would get one no matter what when he declares the attack, but I would want to take that thing out. Instead, what I'm doing here is blocking with her because he decided to try to take out my Hanako with his Victor. So, because Rita has 4 power and that Victor only has 3, his Victor is defeated and Rita was spent, so I get to draw a card and discard 1. So I pitched my Augmented Negotiators. He now has 2 units left to attack with. He's going to attack with Sketchy Ripper and look at the top 3 cards. Thankfully, it has 0 power, so he's not stealing any gigs from me, but he does get a gear card into his hand to use on one of his other units. And I'm not going to be able to do anything about the T-Bug attacking me. So he can steal a gig right there, and there's nothing I can do about it. He's going to end his turn by spending his last 2 eddies and playing another Sketchy Ripper, so he's got 2 on the field. Another huge board again of a lot of small units here. Like I said, he's going for an aggro strategy. He does have some big units which haven't made an appearance yet in this game, interestingly. But it's kind of working out for him. Thankfully, his board is mostly spent and they're pretty weak, so I can go ahead and try to attack with all of my units and and wipe out a lot of the stuff that he has in play here. I'm going to go ahead and make that happen. I'm opening up with attacking his Gilded Matone with Rita Wheeler. She is spent, so I'm getting to draw a card and discard one. So I'm getting a lot of value out of Rita's in this game. She's one of my favorite cards for that reason. Jackie's making his attack next, and I'm stealing 2 gigs because his power is over 10. Unfortunately, he's not a gang or a corpo, so I'm not getting to ready any eddies, but it doesn't really matter because I've not spent anything anyways yet. Hanako is going to go ahead and target one of his Sketchy Rippers here because it has 0 power, and I'm going to spend all of my eddies, all 8 again, for, yes, that's right, my second Placide. And I'm pinching a Reboot Optics from my hand, so now I am bottom decking his T-Bug. So in my one turn here, I was able to clear out most of his board. He only has Sketchy Ripper left, which is not going to be able to steal any gigs unless he puts some gear on it, slowing him down. As you can see here, I have a huge board. It's going to be very hard for him to come back from this. And he's just going to go ahead and spend all of his eddies to play a Victor Vector and a Swordwise Hustle. There's really nothing he can do to come back from it at this point. He has no units he can steal gigs with. I have more than 7, so he's just not able to stop me from winning with 7 gigs at the start of my next turn here. So he was just kind of seeing what he could do at this point. But that is going to conclude the first game here, most likely. There's nothing else that can be done. And yeah, we're going to say good game on this one. The first game of this match will go to me. Thankfully, I was able to get Placide out early and start removing his units. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to get any of his big stuff out, but we'll see what happens in game number 2 here. He elects to go first this time around, and he's starting with his big D12. Now with his deck, his does care a little bit more about high gig values than mine does. He's going to go ahead and sell one of the cards that cares about high gig value, specifically the D20, his Over the Edge. And he opens again another Sketchy Ripper. Man, fantastic openings here for him. So he's going to be able to start getting gear cards in his hand immediately. And I'm going to have absolutely nothing unless I get a blocker down right now to kind of slow that straight out the gate. I'm going to sell a Kuroshi Optics. I'm going to spend 3 eddies and put Augmented Negotiators into play. I'm going to spend my 4th, and I'm going to call a random legend, and I get River Ward as my first one again. So I at least have something that can block this attack. Now, most likely, he'll just equip something that gives Sketchy Ripper 2 power, so they'll trade with each other, and he'll still get a gear card out of it, but I'll at least prevent him from stealing a gig and keeping that thing on the board for more than 1 turn. He sells a Mantis Blade, so he has 5 eddies here. Let's see what kind of play he's going to make now. He's going to spend 2. And he's equipping Satori to his Sketchy Ripper, giving it 2 power. Enough to take out my Augmented Negotiators or threaten a gig steal if I choose to let him pass. He's going to go ahead and swing with his Sketchy Ripper. He's looking at the top 3 cards to pick a gear card amongst them and add it to his hand and bottom deck the rest. He's taking his Zitotech faceplate, and the others go to the bottom. And here I have a choice. I can go ahead and absorb the attack or let it go through and have him steal a gig. I am going to go ahead and crash my Augmented Negotiators into Sketchy Ripper. They have equal power, so they're both going to be defeated and be sent to the trash pile. Satori does not proc here. He does not get to draw a card because Satori only activates when you win a fight, and a draw is not a win. So he does not get the card draw from that. And because I used blocker with Augmented Negotiators, he had to discard a card, and he discarded his Caliber. So I got a little extra value there out of my Augmented Negotiators. I stopped him from stealing a card, or I stopped him from stealing a gig, and forced him to discard 1. He does spend one of his eddies, and he gets a Dum Dum out, and he's going to go ahead and draw the 1 card from the Dum Dum activation. Alright, looks like he is passing turn here to me. I'm going to go ahead and ready my eddies, draw my card, and roll my gig die for turn. And thankfully he has a completely open board, so if I chose to ramp early on, I can do so without fear of him stealing a gig when I pass the turn. So I'm going to go ahead, spend 5 eddies, and I'm going to once again play the Bootleg Black Sapphire Show to get that ramping early. I get a card, and I'm going to go ahead and, like last time, spend that 1 after drawing my 2 cards. Thankfully, I got good luck here by having an even and an odd value pair of gig die. I'm going to spend the 1, and just like last game, I get to call a legend. And just like last game again, it's carry or done. What are the odds of that? So I have 2 of my legends called, and he only has 1 currently. I do have resource advantage now too to play that Placide within a few turns here. He's going to go ahead, open up. He's going to roll his gigs. And we'll see what kind of play he makes here. Neither of us have a unit on the board right now, interestingly. He's got a Gorilla Arms there that he is selling, so now he has 6 eddies. So he's on curve this game. Last time he did not have as much resources early on. And there it is right there. He's going to play one of his big units he didn't really play last time. Jackie. Jackie's on the board and is going to threaten to steal gigs from me immediately. And this is going to be a big problem for me because he's going to be taking 2, which is all of my gigs, except for the one that I'm rolling right now. So I'm going to have to put some blockers or something on the board to stall this thing out. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking at a game loss pretty quickly here, which is the big downside of the Turbo Placide deck. But we'll see what I'm able to do here to handle this big threat. I'm going to go ahead and sell After Party at Lizzie's for the turn. So I've got 7 in play now. I need just 1 more for the Placide. So I can wait 1 turn and then Placide that Jackie on my next turn, hopefully. But we'll have to see what happens here. I'm spending 6 though. That can only mean one thing. I'm going to answer his Jackie with my own Jackie. So now we're going to have a Jackie face-off here. I pass the turn because there's really nothing else I can do at the moment. I could call my last legend. I could have done that with a River here because he is still unspent, but I decided not to. Perhaps I have a piece of gear in my hand I want to use River for when he attacks, or I could just spend River when he declares an attack to call my last legend, Evelyn Parker. He spends 2 eddies and he gets a Bombus out on the board, so now he's establishing a wall. And he spends another 2 to put faceplate onto Jackie, so not only is Jackie going to be threatening to steal 2 gigs, it's also going to be drawing him a card. He spends Dum Dum to call another legend, and this time he gets River Ward. And now that means he knows where Royce is, so at any point in time, he's going to be able to call Royce, and next turn he'll have 7 eddies, which will be enough to make the call of Royce and go solo with him if he so chooses, and that way he'll have Royce and Jackie on the board, and I'm going to be in a whole heap of trouble if he does that play. Either way, things are still not looking great for me because he has gig advantage over me, and many of them are even. He's making one even right now with the faceplates proc to buff up his Jackie even more. I only have a couple of gig dice, so he's not going to be stealing all of them just yet, but pretty soon here, he's going to be able to be stealing 3 a turn with that Jackie, so that's a big problem for me. If I don't get Placide into play to remove that thing soon, I'm going to be in big trouble. I do go ahead and I spend that River to proc during the react step of his attack to put Zetatech faceplate on my own Jackie to save me an eddy there. Normally it would cost 2, but using River's ability, I only had to spend 1 eddy, and it was during his turn. So my Jackie at least has 10 power now that I can use to steal 2 gigs. Unfortunately, I do not have 3 gigs, so I'm not going to be able to get the card draw effect from Zetatech faceplate, which is going to be very unfortunate for me here. I am going to make an attack with Jackie, though. I need to get gigs out of his control to prevent him from threatening a game win pretty much immediately. The problem here is that he does have secondhand Bombus on the board, so he can just choose to divert the attack to the Bombus, and there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. So a 0 power Bombus could stop me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm debating on what gig die to alter with the faceplate. I could make one even to increase his power, but I decide instead I'm going to make my even gig die an odd value just in case, because when Jackie is defeated, you draw a card for every gig die you have of odd values, even though he's likely going to be just going straight for my gigs instead of worrying about defeating one of my units. We'll see right now what happens. He did make the block with a Bombus, so he is threatening a game win here very quickly. And I am playing Floor. I'm playing Floor when it's not going to do any advantage for me here. The only reason I'm playing this is to try to draw a card. I think it's pretty evident by that play that I am desperately digging through my deck right now to either find a Placide or programs or something in my deck to play to answer that Jackie. I play Hanako here again. Very rough to have whiffed again with her, but I only have 2 gigs and chances of finding cards just not there. So it's either I have limited resources or just do not have Placide at all, and I'm not going to be able to make use of it. I'm trying to dig here desperately, obviously. So kind of floundering. It's going to be rough for me to try to make a comeback from this, especially since he has that Royce that's called and ready to go. He'll be able to buff that thing up with a gear card or 2, who knows, but point is, board state is looking pretty rough for me here. I'm going to play another Floret. I am trying to dig as hard as I possibly can here, unfortunately. I'm going to sell a Crochet Optics. I did not sell anything this turn, so I do have the necessary eddy amount now to play Placide. I unfortunately just did not have that before, so maybe that's what I was looking for, just a card to sell. I go ahead and spend one of those 2 eddies I had left open to get Evelyn Parker into play. So I have all of my legends, he has all of his. I unfortunately have to pass a turn, there's nothing else I can do. He rolls his gig die and is threatening a victory next turn. And I think it's gonna just happen, just based off the board states here. He spends 6, there he is, there's Royce. His 2 big units, like I talked about. His whole plan is coming together here. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do here against this. I do have Jackie who could put up a little bit of a fight. Royce does not have any gear, so thankfully I could defeat it in combat unless he chooses to defeat my Jackie with his, which he did not do here. He just swung at me with both to steal gigs, so I have nothing. He's just going all out here. I have very limited options right now. I have to steal so many gigs to prevent him from winning here. I mean, he has 9. I have to steal 3 of these. Jackie could steal 2. Hanako could steal 1. And that would buy me 1 turn. But hey, it's just looking like the writing's on the wall for this one here. We'll see if I can get a lucky Placide play or something to remove one of those 2 guys, and that might actually bring me back into this game. If I don't get that off though, then I'm pretty much toast in this one. I don't see any other way to come back here. Jackie I'm going to attack with first and steal a couple of his gigs. I cannot unfortunately try to attack his units here. I have to go for gigs, otherwise he just wins next turn automatically because he has so many. So that's 2, he's still at 7. I have to attack with Hanako to steal 1 and bring him back down to 6. So thankfully I bought myself 1 more turn. Unfortunately with that though, I am completely wide open here. He can play who knows what else kind of units in his hand, beef up Royce to steal more gigs. It's not looking good for me at all here, unfortunately. A Placide might have been able to do this if only I was able to get 1 sooner. Things would be looking a whole lot different, but sometimes you just whiff, and we're seeing me do that right now. We're also seeing him finally get the cards that he needs into play, and you can see just that physical dominance that those 2 cards have on the board, especially when they're beefed up with gear, especially Jackie. Just his innate ability alone makes him such a huge hurdle. Not as big as he used to be during the Alpha Kit phase, but he's still incredibly powerful. I do have a Zetatech faceplate here that I am selling. I'm going to go ahead and play... what the hell is happening here? Did I decide to not do all that shit? I might have to edit this out. Hanako's attacking. I do prevent him from winning the game here, thankfully. Though he is threatening a game win. Board state's looking pretty rough. Kind of a lot of nothing going on at the moment. I'm just struggling to find anything to do. I am going to sell a Zetatech faceplate. So I sell a Zetatech faceplate. And I am going to spend 5. And I'm going to play Bootleg Black Sapphire Show here to try to ramp up. And I'm mainly doing this to draw cards. So obviously, I am desperately digging through my deck to find a Placide or something. It must be Placide I'm trying to find here. I spend 3 eddies and I get at least a blocker in play to slow down his attacks. That's pretty nice, but unfortunately, I think the writing is going to be on the wall for me here. And because also, it's getting into his turn. He's got his D20 getting rolled. He's going to probably have over the edge here. It's at least a threat. He plays that, and I'm as good as gone. He has 2 huge attackers, and I've got just 1 blocker in play. If I'm able to block and attack with it, I will most likely be able to make a comeback here and win the game, potentially. But it's not looking good either way. He still has gig advantage. He's spending 3. I don't like that at all because I know what that has to mean at this stage in the game. And there it is. There's the over the edge. He chooses not to go after Jackie, but my blocker instead. And that leaves me completely wide open for him to steal pretty much every gig I have if he wishes. He's spending 3 to play an Augmented Negotiators of his own. And now he has a wall. I can't attack over that thing. He's just going to beat me here out of attrition. He's going to have every gig most likely under his control. And there's going to be nothing that I can do about it. Yeah, I mean, that is just unfortunate for me. I was trying to find Placide, it looks like here, and it just did not work out. Jackie goes in for the attack here. He has 10 billion power, it looks like. It's going to be at least 20, combining the faceplate he's equipped with all the even number gig dice he has. I don't know how much he has. Let's see, it's a 2, 4, 6, 8, plus the 2 from that, plus the 8 from that. So, yeah, he's got enough there to steal 3. He's stealing 3 with him, and then Royce is just gonna add insult to injury, steal the final gig I have, and he's gonna have every gig in play except for my D20, which I'm about to roll. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. He's got a blocker in play. I don't have any removal cards that can get around that thing, unfortunately. I could play Placide here, but I'm not going to have enough power between Hanako and Jackie to steal enough gigs to keep him from getting 7 at the start of his next turn. I'm going to do what I can, though, here. Try to get the carry to pop off. It does not, unfortunately. Doesn't really matter anyways. I'm going to go ahead and spend, and there's the Placide finally. I'm going to remove his blocker, and then I'm going to try to make my all-out attacks to steal as much as I possibly can, but it is just not going to be enough. Jackie steals 2 for me. Unfortunately, he still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gig dice, and there's just nothing I can do. It's going to be a good game. He was able to get the better of me here. Placide was too slow for me this time. I put a Psycho Squad out there just to have fun and say good game. He was able to close that one out. He got his attacks off. I was struggling to find a Placide. If I had found him, things would have turned out much differently, most likely. But, you know, that's what happens sometimes. Anyways, let's go to game 3 here. I get to open it this time. I make a roll. I get a 1, which is cool. I sell a Cyber Psychosis. And the traditional turn 1 play, spending an Eddy to make a call, and I get Evelyn Parker this time. That's a great first legend to call for me. That'll get me a lot of value with my Corpo and Ganger units, so that's pretty nice. He's going to go ahead and make his first roll of the game here. Try to keep the gig die on the board. And let's see what he's got. If he has another freaking Sketchy Ripper play opening, I'm going to lose it. He's got Mantis Blades. He spends 2. There it is. Oh my god. 3 for 3. Sketchy Ripper makes an appearance as his opening play. And he has an additional one here to put a Mantis Blades on it already. He makes his final spending of his turn to call River Ward. What a turn 1 play for him. He's got his Gear Searcher. It's going to be able to steal gigs already. He's got River Ward. Man, 3 for 3 there. What a great opening he's had. I sell Akroshi Optics. Now, I can do the Black Sapphire show here, but I'm going to be left completely open, and he's going to start stealing gigs. I don't want him to start doing that. So instead of ramping, I'm going to put a blocker in his face first. I'm going to slow Placide to prevent myself from losing way early. Sometimes you just have to, you have to delay your grand goal in order to not lose the game. So Rita's out there. She's got 4 power. He's going to have to buff up that Sketchy Ripper even more in order to attack over her, or at best trade. And I'm fine with doing so. He's going to go ahead and sell a Mantis Blades there. He spends 2 and he's going to put a Bombus on the board, so now he has a blocker of his own. He has not buffed up that Sketchy Ripper yet, so unless he does so, I'm going to be able to defeat that thing in combat if he tries to attack with it. We'll see what he decides to do at this point. Looks like he's going to spend an Eddy to call a legend, and he gets his Royce. So very good. He knows the location of Dum Dum, and he has Royce ready to go solo whenever he needs to. He decides not to attack with Sketchy Ripper and passes the turn to me. So thankfully, my wall was able to delay his assault. I go ahead and I sell my After Party at Lizzie's here. I've got 6. Now I can try to ramp up if I so choose, or I can go for a more aggressive play and delay the Placide again and try to get him the traditional way of waiting till I have 8 naturally. But I go ahead and I decide to pull the trigger. Black Sapphire show. I sell the top card of my deck. Thankfully I have an even and odd value pair of Gig Dice. I draw 2 cards. And I have enough Eddies here. I could potentially play a 2-cost Gear, call another legend. There's a couple of plays I can make here. I could even try to steal a gig with Reed if I wanted to, and ready one of my Eddies if he lets me steal one. Although that would leave my board completely open to his assault next turn, so it's probably not the best idea to do. But I'm going to go for it here. I am spending Rita to make an attack. Her ability goes off. I get to draw a card and discard one. I'm discarding Hanako. She's failed me twice this game, so she's going to my trash pile. He goes ahead and he blocks with his Bombus, and I'm unfortunately not able to steal a gig and ready one of my Eddies thanks to Evelyn Parker. Turn passes to him. We'll see what he does here. He goes ahead and he calls his final one in response to my attack, which was Dum Dum, and that's fine. And he draws from Dum Dum, and then he goes ahead and he draws his card for turn. Now, I'm completely open here to whatever he decides to do. Pretty risky of me to do such a thing, because he can go solo with Royce if he spends, or if he sells a card and spends 6. He opens with Sketchy Ripper to get a gear card, and he's getting Satori into his hand, which he decides to sell here. So he does have enough to go solo with Royce if he so chooses. I cannot stop him from stealing a gig, so he goes ahead and helps himself to one of mine. Alright, so let's see what he does here with all of his resources available. He spends all 6, and instead of going solo, he's playing a Jackie. So again, like last time, he's got one of his big brutes out on the board, and I'm gonna have to figure something out to stall that thing until I can get Placide out hopefully this time I can get him. Thankfully, my Rita survives, so I do have at least one blocker on the board to stop that Sketchy Ripper the next time it attacks, or to stop Jackie if he's super buffed up from stealing more than 1 gig. Alright, so I draw, I roll my gig for turn. And I do have enough, if I sell one more, to play a Placide here. I'm showing that I'm selling Mandibular Upgrade, so I do have the 8 eddies that I would need. And it looks like I'm spending everything I have, and that can mean only one thing, folks. Here's Placide. I managed to get one, and I am pitching Afterlife, or I'm pitching After Party at Lizzie's, and he's saying goodbye to Jackie. This is what I was hoping would have happened in the last game, but thankfully I was able to do so this game. Rita is attacking, and she's spent, so I get to draw a card and discard one. I'm discarding my Psycho Squad, and I elected to go ahead and take out his Sketchy Ripper. I want his board cleared of all units, so that way he cannot get the value from getting gear cards, because he does have that Royce that he can buff up and threaten an attack with. So I just want to completely clear out his board for his turn here and put him on the defensive. He has a second Jackie, and he rolls his gig die there for turn. So he at least has another big unit there. Now if I have a program and I attack with Placide, that Jackie's going to get bottom deck too, so now he's on the defensive. It all depends on how many programs I'm able to keep in my hand to pitch for Placide. If I'm able to keep doing it every turn, I'm pretty much going to win the game right here with that momentum. Otherwise, it's going to delay my victory by a few turns. I do attack with Placide, and I pitch the Black Sapphire Show. His second Jackie gets bottom decked here, and that's very unfortunate for him. But very nice for me. He has nothing he can do to stop me from stealing 2 gigs with Placide. And I could steal another one here with Rita. If I had spent any of my eddies this turn, I would have been able to proc Evelyn Parker twice, so maybe I should have spent these eddies and played another card before doing those attacks, just to be efficient, but I have enough resources that I'm not too worried about it. I do have a second Rita on the board now, so I have quite a huge wall. I go ahead and spend one more to call another legend, and I get River Ward this time, and I pass the turn. So it looks like this game might be wrapping up here pretty quickly. I have Placide out, and it seems like I'm not hurting for programs in my hand, especially having 2 Ritas on the board that I can keep drawing and cycling cards with. He spends out to play 2 Victors. He gets Mantis Blades out from his trash pile. It looks like he's just kind of doing what he can this turn because it's pretty much going to be game over. I have 2 blockers on the board. I've got Placide. The 2 Ritas are going to be able to get me programs from my deck pretty easily, I feel like. And yeah, it's a good game right there, folks. That is it for this episode of the Afterlife Card Club. I am the victor this time. We will see what happens in the next episode when we both come back with brand new decks to showcase and pit against one another. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Thank you all for your stay. Have a good one.